It has pretty much destroyed my personal credibility, my professional credibility, my capacity to contribute to the field of, particularly to the field of family violence.
But even after the allegations were shown to be almost entirely false, there was no attempt to undo the damage or even utter a proper apology. Dawn Rowan's only way to set the record straight and regain her dignity was through the courts.
The only possibility was to then go to the law.
It was to be a David and Goliath battle spanning almost 2 decades. The list of court appearances alone runs to 58 pages, and we'll never know how many millions of our taxpayer dollars the state and federal governments poured in to defending their inexcusable actions.
And this is the unrelenting and brutal pursuit by the state government of South Australia and the Commonwealth government of an innocent person, which has been, for me, 20 years of torture leading to state-sponsored execution.
Mediation failed when Dawn's adversaries couldn't agree on a settlement proposal. And in court, Cornwall, Roberts and the others all denied any wrongdoing. However, in June 2002, at the end of a torturous trial in which Dawn represented herself, Justice DeBell's 300-page judgment sent the missiles flying back smack into the government's bunkers.
Surrounded by supporters and a hug from her proud niece, Felicity, Dawn Rowan emerged victorious from the Supreme Court this morning.
It's been 15 years of absolute hell, and there's been many, many people injured by this. It was a very strong judgment in my favour, and was very critical of certain, the main defendants.
His findings were clear. The treatment of Dawn was appalling.
The allegations were a shocking defamation.
The judge flayed a number of the government witnesses, starting with the evasive Dr. Cornwall.
I accept his evidence only where it's corroborated by objective facts.
He was equally critical of Judith Roberts, who incidentally, during the case, was awarded an Order of Australia. However, she was, in the judge's view,
Mrs. Roberts was a most unimpressive witness. There was a considerable degree of self-justification in her evidence, and at times she became an advocate for her own cause. Some of her evidence was plainly wrong.
Things got harder for Dawn when it was revealed slabs of the files from all 5 government departments involved in the case went missing.
Some files were destroyed or lost after this action had commenced.
Amongst them was the SA Police's own investigation file stored in state archives, which disappeared during the case.
A request was made for its retrieval, but somewhere the file was lost in the process of retrieval.
The police lost the complete file of their investigations into Christie's Beach.
Even the bulk of the notes of the review committee itself had been destroyed or lost.
No record of it.
So there's no record of the review meetings, notes, minutes?
No, all gone.
In fact, Roberts admitted destroying much of that paperwork herself.
She says in an affidavit that she was given verbal legal advice to destroy her personal working documents. And
but she couldn't remember who'd given her the advice?
No.
Or when?
No.
Or for what reason?
No.
The State's Corporate Affairs Commission also lost parts of their file.
Departments like Corporate Affairs just can't get away with, oh sorry, we lost it, we can't find it. It's extraordinary.
But that's what happened. Roberts had even claimed at one stage of the case that she didn't know Dawn Rowan at all.
When she was being questioned by the State Crown Solicitor, she'd make statements like, did you know Dawn Rowan? And she said no. Now,
so she denied knowing you?
Yes. Initially, court? Yes, in court, yes.
Cornwall was found guilty of abusing his power, and Roberts and some of her committee found to be motivated by malice.
I find there is sufficient evidence that members of the review committee did not honestly believe what they were stating about the Christie's Beach shelter was correct. Those members were guilty of malice.
And it's not what you'd expect from public servants, is it?
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. They admitted they did not make any attempt whatsoever to establish whether any of these allegations were credible or not.
Justice DeBell awarded Rowan damages of around $500,000 with costs.
But none of my costs have to this day been paid that were ordered to be paid for that first trial.
But having already spent millions of taxpayer dollars in fighting Dawn, the government, state and federal, simply plunged their hands deeper into the public purse and appealed.
You must have been confident that you'd survive the appeal okay.
Oh, absolutely. He said repeatedly that the evidence abundantly supported his findings.
The appeal proceeded, followed by a 16-month wait for the findings, which in the end were almost as big a shock as the original review 18 years previous.
Look, the whole judgment I found shocking, devastating.
In fact, Dawn had won again. The full bench found the facts of the case were unquestionably in her favour. But having said that, there was a catastrophic legal twist. They overturned the finding of malice against Judith Roberts and her committee.
They upheld Cornwall's misfeasance, and they upheld Judith Roberts' defamation on the media programs. But they refused to find malice.
This was a crushing blow because it meant Dawn became liable for all the federal government's legal costs for the entire case and the appeal.
And what kind of a cost judgment are you facing?
I am now legally liable for millions of dollars costs of the 2 television stations and the Commonwealth government, and my own costs of that appeal to the tune of $300,000.
After 18 years of struggle, Dawn had won, but faced ruin all the same.
So, having been falsely accused of criminal conduct by a government minister and his staff,
Yes.
after being appallingly defamed,
Yes.
having to resign,
Yes.
move states,
Yep.
having seen documents and notes go missing,
Yep.
the court has now found that you have to pay the government's costs.
That's right. The Commonwealth government's costs, because they've been let off by the full court.
And we'll never know what this has actually cost the taxpayer.
No, they're absolutely refusing to give the taxpayer any indication of what this has actually cost them.
In recent weeks, the federal government has frozen her assets and are now moving in to take what's left. Only her home. Her own shelter from the storm.
Just how much is that again?
That's $380,000, and I currently got a mortgage of about $120,000 on that house.
So will that effectively mean...
That effectively
homeless?
means that I will be homeless, and because I work from home when I'm able to work, it means that I don't have a place to work from as well.
So what chance has an individual got in standing up against politicians and their servants who have unlimited resources and nothing personal to lose? After trying to serve the community and set right an obvious wrong, Dawn Rowan faces homelessness and bankruptcy. Could the gap between the law and justice be stretched much wider?
If I had known then what I know now, I would have done exactly what Penny Easton did, and that is commit suicide after 4 days. That's what I would have done. I don't believe there is any possibility in Australia, and certainly in South Australia, of getting anything just happening when grave injustices and injuries have been done to innocent members of the public by the state. It's an extraordinary story, isn't it?